Welcome to the Book of Enoch, where we're going through the Book of Enoch, verse by verse, because the Book of Enoch is by far the best example of what it'll be like in the days of Noah, and we are warned that the end times will be like the days of Noah. And Enoch had great insight into what this was, so it's important that we study this, as well as Jude told us to look at the prophecy of Enoch to really see those Nephilim who will be here in the end time. So it's kind of important to understand, well, how'd they manipulate the world? What'd they do? How did it all play out? So we can then see, because God is a never-ending God. He's going to do it the same way as he did then. How he destroys them then, he'll destroy them again. So where we are is the Watchers are being punished. Their offspring, the Nephilim, are going to be killing each other. And in the meantime, some angels grabbed a hold of Enoch, and they're showing him ultimately what appears to be kind of the workshop of God. They take him to this place where angels are. They're pure like fire, but they can turn into men whenever they wish. And there's this mountain, which is the throne of God. And we see a fiery bow there in the place of the luminaries. This is where God divvies out punishment and where he creates and destroys the universe. And we're going to pick it up right there. Chapter 17, starting verse 1. And they took and brought me to a place in which those who were there were like flaming fire. And when they wished, they appeared as men. And they brought me to a place of darkness and to a mountain, a point of whose summit reached to heaven. And I saw the places of the luminaries and the treasuries of the stars and the thunder and the uttermost depths, where were a fiery bow and arrows and their quiver and a fiery sword and all the lightnings. And they took me to the living waters and to the fire of the west, which receives every setting of the sun. And I came to a river of fire, in which the fire flows like water and discharges itself into the great sea towards the west. All right, we're going to pause there real quick, because the last thing we talked about were the luminaries, and we talked about the fiery bow. We're going to kind of focus on this fire of the west. What is the fire of the west? What we know of it so far, as we see in Enoch, is they took me to the living waters and to the fire of the west, which receives every setting of the sun. Now, the fire of the west, we can see in Enoch. So we're going to, because later on, Enoch starts asking these angels, well, what's this? What's that? And they go to explain it to him. So they explain it to him what this fire of the west is. So we're going to kind of jump ahead. I hate to jump ahead, but we're just going to do it for the sake of this one. We're going to go to chapter 23, starting verse 1. From thence I went to another place to the west of the ends of the earth, and I saw a burning fire, which ran without resting, and paused not from its course day or night, but ran regularly. And I asked, saying, what is this which rests not? Then Regel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered me and said to me, this course of fire which thou hast seen is the fire in the west, which persecutes all the luminaries of heaven. So here what we have is we have this fire in the west, and it's the west of the earth. So, of course, now the best way I can describe the earth and the firmament, we're going to get into this another time, but ultimately what you have is you have space, which you cannot limit God. A lot of people want to put this firmament as a roof or something, that if you went off into space, you'd all of a sudden just hit this roof. This is not what it is. You can go off into space for light years, as far as you can, and you will never reach heaven. Just like this mountain that God sits on, you can't climb it. It's like a whole other dimension. There's doorways through the firmament. So in order to actually access the firmament, you have to know the ways. And of course, the angels are the only ones that know the ways. So it's really kind of a thing that it's there, but it's nothing we can reach, and it's nothing we can get to. We can walk west, just on and on and on, and we will never reach this fire. We'll just keep going around the world circling it, but we'll never actually reach this thing. It's an untouchable thing for us. It's literally, that's the realm of heaven and the realm of God's throne. These are things that, when we look in Revelation and the earth is just laying out in front of him in a sea of glass, and he could just look at it and throw things at it and do whatever he wants to it. We see in Enoch that it's like his footstool. He sits on the mountain and he rests his feet on the earth. These are other dimensions. These are things that God has created that are only accessed by heavenly hosts, which we also saw in Enoch. The problem with the angels lying with humans is that the humans' spirit's dwelling place is earth. Angels' spirit's dwelling place is heaven. These are two totally different places. It is only the watchers that come down to earth. The rest of the heavenly hosts, their realm is heaven, period. So when we see this fire of the West, what it is it's ultimately, again, we kind of talked last time, is it's almost like we're looking into God's workshop here. It's where he creates the luminaries. It's where he creates lightning. It's where he divvies out punishment. And part of this is the decreation of the luminaries. This is where they go to die. This is where they go to be persecuted, essentially. And when the luminaries change, when they fizzle out, when they die, when anything happens to the luminaries, the stars, this is where they go to die. This is their place. Everything has a place. Everything that God has created has a place. And this is the place of the luminaries. This is where they go to die. And they took me and brought me to a place in which those who were there were like flaming fire. And when they wished, they appeared as men. They brought me to the place of darkness and to a mountain, the point of whose summit reached to heaven, and I saw the places of luminaries, and the treasuries of the stars and thunders, and in the uttermost depths, where were a fiery bow and arrows, and their quiver, and a fiery sword, and all the lightnings. They took me to the living waters, and to the fire of the West, which receives every setting of the sun. So there you go. Any thoughts or insight on any of this? Definitely put it below. This is the insight that I kind of found, but I know there's a lot more to this, obviously. I feel like I barely can touch the surface on what this actually is. So any thoughts or insight, definitely put it below. Do want to take a moment and say most people watch this channel, not subscribers. Click that subscribe button. It greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.